Hi everyone, good afternoon. I hope you've had a good day today. Now, we're going to finish off before, we appreciate that we're the last thing standing between you guys and a nice cold drink. So we're going to end the day with a little bit of fun. If you were here last year, you will have seen me on stage with my colleague Alex, where we were creating a karaoke companion using the Dataiku LLM mesh.
So last year went so well, we're going to do it again, but this time with a bit of an agentic twist. So we're going to create an internal musical at Dataiku for our next global meetup. We are both musical fans. I think that won't be a surprise to some of you in the room. But we've got a catalogue, lots of different music styles, different PDFs, different things to research, as well as a whole back catalogue of different hits from the last few decades. So how do we take that into something that we can use to build our top hit? So
let's take it over to Dataiku.
So here we've got a project. We're going to want to use some of the information about how popular some songs have been. So you'll see here we've got a nice prediction model looking at the popularity across different genres. We've got some data sets explaining the background and the cultural significance of different genres as well. And those are all things that we're going to build into our agentic flow.
So we're not starting from scratch this time, which is something we did last year. Now, you can see that we have our input data on the left-hand side. We're then moving into 3 distinct flow zones. Now, if we take a look at the top flow zone, what we've done is we've essentially downloaded information about different music styles around the world from Wikipedia. Now, remember, this is just an internal application. What we want to do is want to create something that our other producers are going to help us create this blockbuster musical for. So all of that data then feeds into a knowledge bank, which will help us in answering some of the queries that we'll make later on. Now, the next flow zone, we're using some of the more traditional LLM recipes in Dataiku. So the starting data set is lyrics and information about some key songs over the last maybe century. I can see there, Oasis, my favorite song. So what we're going to do, we're going to use some of the LLM recipes in Dataiku to extract some information from this data. The first, we are essentially summarizing the lyrics in no more than 50 words. Now, the next recipe, we're actually pulling out emotional sentiment analysis. So how is this song designed to make us feel? And we're actually using the summary that we created in that previous step. Next, we're actually asking a more traditional prompt. So we're feeding this data set in, and we're asking to extract the title, the album, the year, all of that metadata that's going to help us as we move forward. Ultimately then, our final data set becomes a database or knowledge repository of all of our different music in this data set. Now, finally, as Serena mentioned, we actually move into creating some more traditional machine learning analysis, so predicting the popularity of some of these songs. Now, how we take this a step further, as we approach our agentic revolution, what we want to do is actually create agent tools inside Dataiku that are going to help us in this way. We'll take a look at some of these in more depth later on, but for now, we're actually going to create a new agent tool called email. As part of this particular tool, we want to email all of the lyrics to our entire team so that we can all be on the same page when we're producing this musical. So let's go ahead and hit create. And because of the deep integration with our messaging channels at the administration level, we can simply come in and select the mail channel to use. So there's nothing to hard code in the application. Everything is presented by the administrator. Now, the only thing I need to do is copy and paste our email address for our production team in here, which will then allow us to run a test if we need to. But then, for now, we're just going to save and move on to the next part.
So that's a really nice extension of some of the core functionality that some of you will already be using in Dataiku to send emails automatically. But let's have a look at some of the other things that come out of the box with Dataiku in terms of agent tools. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the predict popularity model lookup. So as you saw in the flow, we already have a trained model. We're using different features to try and predict how popular that song is going to be. So when it comes to making the tool, it is just a case of clicking Save Model, creating and selecting your model, and giving it a couple of instructions of when to use that specific tool. if we go back to the wide list of tools, there's another one which is called lookup instruments and lookup genre. And these are a really nice example of looking up from an existing data set. So whether you've got one data set you want to look up from, or others, or a variety of different data sets that need to be looked up by different agents, this is something that can be really easily specified in Dataiku. So you specify your data set that you're looking up, whether that's an upload or in Snowflake or wherever it is. You're looking up the genre column, and then you're pulling in other columns. So very simple, very easy to use. You're telling the tool to use multiple records and bring back 20 records per lookup. So let's take these tools and stitch that all into an agent. So as Nick mentioned at the start of today, an agent is something that takes action on a variety of steps. So we'll create a new agent that we have, and create visual agent, and we call it song agent. Here we specify our LLM to use. We give it a nice prompt example, so copy pasting over. You are a master in music generation and modification. You can do the following. Based on the theme received as input, use the lyrics generation tool to generate song lyrics. Secondly, the user can choose to select a different genre and predict its popularity. And thirdly, the user may ask to choose the most popular genre, in which case you need to use the predict popularity tool. So there's a couple of tools that we want the agent to be able to use. And so clicking through this, let's click lyrics generation. The description is going to be this tool generates lyrics. The second tool is going to be that predict popularity model. And for this, I need to copy paste the instructions again. And this instruction could include the structure of the features used for the model itself. So again, making sure that you're not treating machine learning and agent workflows independently, but really you're bringing them together for one whole use case. And then finally, we have the email agent tool that Matt just created. And this allows us to use our song agent to email us afterwards. So this tool is, let's spell that right, send an email. With that, I'll click Save. Go back to our list of agents, and now we have 2. So let's see what that looks like in the flow.
So in the traditional Dataiku visual interface pattern, we can actually see, as we're building out our agentic workflow, the kind of tools that we're using. So as an example, our song agent is directly connected into our predict popularity. So now, at a glance, we can actually start to understand what our project is doing without having to trawl through lines of code. Now, the last thing that we need to do here is we need to create our front end that our users or our team of producers is going to use to develop our musical. Now, we saw Matt earlier demo Agent Hub. For today, we're actually going to use Agent Connect because this is very project specific. So how we do this is we approach Agent Connect here, we add in an Agent Connect, and we're going to call it Musical App. Now, if you've had experience with Dataiku Answers or Agent Connect in the past, this will be a very similar interface or a very familiar interface. We can come in and select our main LLM, and then we select our history and our profile data set. Now, these are important for keeping track of the conversations that we're having with our agent. Now, next, because we're using Agent Connect, we can actually come in and connect to agents and agent tools that have been created in other projects that I have access to. Now, security is always front of mind when it comes to Dataiku, so I only have access to projects that my group or my user in the platform has access to too. And that also follows through to the agent and agent tools that are available. So I'm going to select the song agent and our vibrant culture agent that we selected in our previous step. And we're going to add some additional description. Now this, as you can imagine, is going to help us in define how to use the agent and when to decide when to use the agent. So let's go to our song agent. And as we saw earlier, it starts with, you're a master in music generation and modification. So I'm going to copy and paste this into here. I'm going to add in another object and connect to our vibrant culture agent. Now, as with other Dataiku answers and Agent Connect, there's some other configuration that we can go to really customize the look and feel of the interface. That's what Alex and I were showing last year. But for now, we'll take our configuration and we'll take a look at the front end.
So let's try it. So we've got two agents. We've got one which is our vibrant culture agent. That's going to be something that helps us look up and research different music styles, the history of them, what kind of instruments they want. So let's go and ask our agent, tell me about jazz. So here, it's taking the prompt, my answer, my question that I've asked. You can see, actually, if I zoom in, you've got the specified agent that it's identified as most relevant for this, and we're seeing it think through a couple of different steps. So in the back end, we know that this is going to involve some dataset lookups, some of the PDF searches as well. And it's summarized that pretty nicely. We've got a nice jazz overview of jazz originated from New Orleans in the USA. We've got some instrument details about what are the most prominent instruments used in jazz. And it's a nice dynamic and rich genre that draws from various influences. So this is really nice as we're starting to explore. And we can also see the source and where this has prompted and come from. Matt, let's move one step further. Who are your favorite band?
Let's go with ABBA.
OK, perfect. Since we're at Dataiku, and since we're in London, let's say, write me a song about Dataiku and London in the style of ABBA.
Is this going to be the opening song of the musical? Well, let's see what it
maybe.
comes back with.
So we had our lyrics generation tool, and that's one of our traditional LLM queries, something that's going to go and generate details and generate content. We're also going to look at kind of combining themes about Dataiku and London in here, and we may also get a glimpse of how popular we think this is going to be. So we can get a show of hands if people think if they agree with this.
Oh, it's so cheesy.
It's very cheesy. Oh. So the title is Data Dreams in London. I'm not going to read it out for you guys. You guys can all read that. But we've got a really nice ABBA-style series of lyrics. So ABBA is going to be a pop genre. They reckon it's going to be fairly danceable, pretty high tempo, 120 beats per minute. And also, it's predicted its popularity at 84.78%, nearly 85% of people are going to like that. I personally am a bit skeptical about that. I think ABBA may or may not be to everyone's taste. So let's ask it to, can you confirm that the most popular genre is going to be pop? Let's see, we really want people to like this.
I personally think that should be higher, but...
So here, we're using our question, our prompt, to ask it to query that real-time machine learning predicted popularity model. And it's actually come back as, yes, pop is one of the most popular genres globally. You can see here, broad appeal. So we may decide to use this going forward. Are you happy to? Do you want us to email that across?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Start as we mean to go on.
Email to me, please. So with that, we're using the very first tool that Matt created at the start today. It's thinking about it, but hopefully we should see that this email comes through. Perfect.
I think I just got the email.
So, does it come through?
I did. I just got the email.
Lovely. So here,
yep, there we go.
305, brand new. Dear music lover, here's our song, a delightful song. Couple of lyrics, couple of chorus elements, and details about how popular it's going to be. So if anyone would like to receive this, we have all of your emails here from today. You can opt out.
We'll add it to the presentation pack. OK.
Cool.
So that brings us to the end of the session. Just a little bit of fun, but we do have one last thing to do. As you've seen in the main hall, we've had a couple of prize games going on. Now, we've been keeping track of your times when it comes to the Mind Agent, and there are 3 prizes on offer. OK. So, in third place, winning a Lego 4 GT 2022, which personally I think should be first place, is KTP. Round of applause, everyone, for Katie.
In second place, winning a JBL Bluetooth speaker is John M.
And finally, in first place, winning some AirPods 4, we have Safi. Round of applause for Safi. So to collect your prize, please feel free to find Serena and I in the main hall, and we will point you in the right direction.
And well done for everyone who took part in the Mind Vault. It was very intense at some points, and I think it got a lot of interest. So hopefully you all had fun anyway.
Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us here today. That brings us to the close. Now we can go and get some drinks in the main area.
Side.
But first, go back. We want to say a big thank you to our 4 sponsors who have made this day possible. So thank you very much to Snowflake, Kubrick, Nutanix, and PwC. Can we have a round of applause for our sponsors?
A big thank you to all of our speakers, attendees, everyone who's made today so engaging and so broad to learn from. I think it's been a fantastic day, lots of insights and tidbits. So thank you for everyone who spoke today. And also for everyone just in general for being here, participating, learning. Hopefully you've all taken something away from today. And we've loved having you here. So hopefully see you again soon at a future event.
Thank you very much, everyone. Let's go and grab a drink in the main hall.